hello to our new friend, Charlie. How are you?
I'm super rich. How are you?
Doing so well, thank you. I always have to start off by just giving praise and grace to people like you who take time out of your very busy schedule to come on this conversation with us. Thanks to your team, James, everyone for making this happen. But we're here with Charlie Johnson. Welcome to Meeting You podcast, Charlie.
Thanks, Rich. Can I just say it's so nice to be introduced as our new friend. It immediately makes me feel family. I love that.
I I love it. I love it. You and I talked before. We had a great kind of opportunity to get to know each other a little bit. And then I kind of did what I normally do. And that's sort of my, deep dive on you and found out what I could find out, all the dirt, all the good stuff. Just teasing you, just teasing you. But one of the things that grabbed me right away, Charlie, and I do want you to take a minute to say hello and introduce yourself, please. But one of the things that grabbed me right away is I think when anybody looks at you, they just see like a powerhouse operator. Like you have done so much operations. And I love that because I come from an operational background as well. But let's ask Charlie to just say hello and kind of describe herself a little bit before we jump into my bevy of questions for you.
I was going to say, I feel like it's going to be a letdown from there, Rich.
No, no.
Honestly, thank you again for having me. So, for the audience, I'm Charlie Johnson. I'm based in London, as you can tell by my spiffing accent, and I'm going to throw as much English as there you go. If I can get golly in, and maybe a few that people don't understand. I am the SVP of International for a company called Digital Envoy and the GM for Lock ID.
Mm.
I've been at Digital Envoy for 15 years now. So, I mean, I really feel like I get to work with my best friends every day, which is amazing. But for anybody who doesn't know us, we are the experts in understanding IP geolocation data. So we get used in many different spheres, such as cybersecurity, advertising, digital rights management, financial tech, governments, United Nations, etc. Is pretty cool.
That's very cool. Exciting stuff. And I'm sure constantly evolving too, right? Given the technology landscape, AI, large language models, all these things, right?
It's
So
yeah.
much to unpack there for sure. So as I kind of mentioned to you before, oh, by the way, you said corker earlier, which was an awesome word to get in as well
Excellent.
before we went on air. So I want to acknowledge that. Um, you when I go and I looked at your LinkedIn every time a guest is offered to us, I go to their LinkedIn and look around. You've got this cool headline, right? You talk about how you're a mom, a mentor, a dyslexic thinker.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about where you are right at this moment, because this is called meeting you where you're at. Where are you right now, Charlie, in terms of your life? Not historically, but
Nope.
what does this mean for you right now?
So, I'm going to answer that question with probably a bit more honesty than you needed, Rich. Um, I turned 43 in February,
Oh, so young.
and
So young.
yeah. Oh, thank you. That's keep it coming, keep it coming. Um, it was a big moment for me when I turned 40, right?
Me too.
Because
Me too.
yeah, I was like, oh my god, what is going to happen? It was quite concerning. And I had my team did this really cute thing. I remember I was in Israel away from my family, working, and they did this thing where they surprised me on a video call and they all sang happy birthday. And I
Love
pretty much cried. Like I was
Yeah.
just like, but I cried in the sense of I didn't want to acknowledge I was 40. I was just like, this isn't happening. We're back. I'm still 39. I don't know why. But the fun thing and it took the youngest one on the team, a lovely young lady, and she was about 22 at the time. And she was just like, why are you so upset about
Mm.
being in your 40s? Like, and I was just like, well, I don't look like you anymore.
Yeah,
For
you're
one thing.
22, so keep your mouth closed.
And she said to me, and this was amazing. She said to me, and only the way a 20-something can comment about this. She said, "Well, I feel like when Kim Kardashian became in her 40s, that was when she started to pop."
Okay.
And I
All
was
right. So
like,
you're popping off like Kim K.
yeah, that's literally what she said. She was like, "You were popping." And I remember thinking, "You were batshit crazy." I was just like, I love the reference. I mean, I also had to get Google to make sure I got the right Kardashian.
Right. They get confusing. Yeah.
It's super confusing. And then you asked me the question now about
Yeah. Yeah. Right
I can
this moment.
honestly tell you, she was right.
Yes.
I
Good girl.
am
Awesome. You go.
I
Yeah.
am happy. I am happy. I am not always winning. I am screwing up left, right, and center, but I am the happiest I'm in my happiest decade.
I
It
love that.
took the 20-year-old to tell me.
That's amazing, amazing. I'm in my 5th decade, so, and I can tell you that I feel better than when I was in my 4th decade, so I'm not sure what happened, but maybe we're aging in reverse.
Mhm.
Maybe 50 really is the new 30, I don't know,
I
but I
love
definitely feel
that.
better in my 5th decade than I did in my 4th, so and I hope
This
the same for you.
Thank you. Something for us all to keep, like, motivating. Every decade gets better, right?
Right?
Love that.
Absolutely.
Love
One
that.
thing, Charlie, you've been very open about is your dyslexia. And when you and I talked about that originally, we talked about it where this isn't a limitation for you. This is a strength for you. This is the way that your brain works differently. But you live in a complex world with the work that you do. We all live in a complex world, but where the work you do is particularly complex. There's a lot of processing you need to do. How do you process that complexity in this sort of like data heavy environment that you live in? And just talk, maybe just talk a little bit about, why you look at this as a superpower.
Be my pleasure. I mean, the first thing I would say is you're giving me too much credit. I am delighted to say I'm surrounded by truly talented and
Yeah.
intelligent people who not only empower me to learn, but
Mhm.
they also help me be a better person, and that is what helps. So, like, I think one of the things that I've learned a lot is to make sure that I'm leaning on other people,
Yes.
to make sure that we all as sort of, what is it they say? The rising tide lifts all
Yep.
boats.
Yep.
Yeah, and it really does work like that. But my journey with dyslexia has been complex,
Mm.
and I'll be super open, and if I'm oversharing, please tell me, but,
Sure.
I can tell you now I am extremely proud to be dyslexic
Mhm.
because I see in a working practice how I do think about things a little bit differently. Because in my role, often what I'm trying to do is translate between what's happening in the actual wider market to what
Mhm.
we're seeing internally. And those aren't always aligned,
Sure.
right? And to be able to translate through those two different people has probably been built out of my dyslexia more than anything else.
Interesting. Huh.
It gives me a different way of processing because there's a few things that I just willful or not, just unable to do, which is
Right.
process a ton of written word.
Yeah.
Like I just can't do it.
Mhm.
Oh, spoiler, I don't need to, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You don't have to. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
People talk, there's AI to help,
Yeah.
right? And that's amazing in how it helps. So, but my journey with dyslexia has, especially from school to the early part of my career, has been complex.
Yeah.
And for a very long time, I hid the fact that I was dyslexic.
Mhm.
And it took an incident. I'm just going to tell this story real quick,
Sure.
and apologies.
Yeah. It's
Uh, I
okay.
was I was at a meeting in London. This was, gosh, 12 or so years ago now, maybe.
Mhm.
And I walked out of that meeting like I nailed it, I'm not gonna lie. Super happy, everyone was happy, it went to plan. And I went to the bathroom, and in there was a girl who was bawling her eyes out. You know, that kind of like sobbing
Sobbing.
that
Yeah. Can't
like
catch your breath. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like, it's literally she understands what she's saying, a dolphin understands what she's saying.
That's about
That's
it.
it, no one else. And you can't leave somebody like that. And she was a young girl, a very, very young girl. And I remember so clearly, I just sat on the floor with her.
Mm.
Once she calmed down, got her some water, tissues, once she calmed down and everything was like,
Yeah.
decompress.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What happened?" And she was like, "I just got cussed out in
Mhm.
front of my entire team for my written words
Mm.
from, like, a manager, her
Mhm.
manager."
Sure.
It was just like, "I'm really dyslexic, and the thing is I really tried, and I
Mm.
got it wrong."
Oh, how breaks your heart. Oh my god.
Ah, t
Yeah.
like, no need,
Yeah.
no need.
Mm.
And we were talking, and I was sort of explaining, I was like, "Oh, I'm dyslexic as well," and I've been there, and, like, I had a manager who used to redline my emails and
Mhm.
would write back to me and just be like, "How do you not know the difference between this stuff?" And I'm like, "Does it matter?
Yeah.
Like,
Does it really matter? Yeah. Yeah.
it just
In the
doesn't
grand
matter."
scheme of everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like, of all things to worry about. Anyway, she challenged me
Mm.
because when I was telling her this, I was like, "It's not held me back." And she was like, "Well, what are you doing to pay it forward?"
Yeah. Huh.
And I was like, nothing." And she was like, "Do you tell people?" And I was like, "No, I don't tell anyone at work that I'm dyslexic. I keep
Yeah.
that
To keep
quiet."
it. Yeah.
And she was like, "Do you mentor?" Like, I
Wow.
love her. She was just
Wow.
like challenged me. And that changed my thinking because she said, if people who have been successful, right, and embraced it, Aren't
Mhm.
there as a light for us? How do we know when I have a bad day like today that this is just a bad day? And I was like, can't put it all on me,
Right.
just but fair, absolutely fair. And that was when I got into mentoring, and that was when I also realized that the dyslexia piece is so
Mhm.
much more. And so
Yeah.
to your question, and I know I've been long-winded in
No,
this,
no.
but, like, when you think about how to process stuff, one of the things that I say to people all the time, and even our president of the company, he literally said it to me yesterday. He's like, "I'm gonna take a Charlie, and I'm gonna say, I just need to think about this for a moment." 'Cause that's what I say all the time, like, "Just give me a minute to think."
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Of
It's
course
okay.
it's okay. Yeah. Absolutely. I love that you are vernacular. Like, "I'm gonna take Charlie." I love
I feel like he was being generous that day. He probably wanted something yesterday, but
Well,
yeah.
of course, they all do, right? Yeah.
But
But I love that, and I'm big on imagery, Charlie, right? So I am as you're telling this story, I am literally imagining you and this young woman sitting on the floor of a ladies' room. I can see the color of the tile, I can see all of it, right? You know?
it
And and just the fact that you took the time to do that and that it unlocked something, right?
it She unlocked for me,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like, completely, and you know what the best thing is about all of this? 'Cause I'm still in contact with her, she's absolutely killing it in her career. I'm
Good.
so proud of
I
her.
was just gonna ask if you're still in touch with this person, it sounds like you are. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
love this in spite of how you think,
Yeah.
this is how this has happened.
Yeah.
Amazing,
Amazing.
amazing. I love to talk about operating, and, I'm like I said, you and I have the operator background. When you and I talked before, I mentioned to you that there's a lot of folks that listen to the show that are kind of at a bet on themselves moment in their lives.
Yeah.
I would love to hear a little bit about let's take a Charlie, and let's talk about a bet on yourself moment.
Yep.
And maybe it was that bathroom conversation, I don't know, but where was that kind of bet on yourself moment? And I'm sure you didn't have proof that it was gonna work, but you still did it.
Do you know what? I think that I've been lucky enough to have made many a bets on myself in both a professional and a personal level.
Mhm, mhm,
But I think one of the probably the biggest bets that I made on myself happened about sort of 6 years ago now, which was, I was basically being offered a promotion,
mhm.
and it was to run a team right at the moment that I was pregnant and they didn't know.
Ah,
And I was like, "How do I become a new mum?
yep,
How do I be present as a mum,
yep.
but also kill it work?"
Killing promotion, yeah, and this is like a problem that only women deal with, right? I mean, for men, it's just not even on the table. Like, maybe your spouse is pregnant and you're thinking a little bit about how the promotion might affect that, but it's not the same, is it? It's not
Well, see
yeah,
see, that's a really interesting perspective. I'm not sure I fully agree,
okay.
right? Because I think, I think the world has changed a lot more now. I mean, okay, sure, they're not necessarily carrying the baby and thinking about, the physical effects that
Physical aspect of
happen.
it, sure. Fair,
Yeah.
yeah.
But also, like, these days, the dads are just as involved. They're getting up and they bloody well should be.
As
Just as involved to
yeah, I
help.
will.
But it does make a difference. But I think when I think back at that moment, we can absolutely blame hormones
Yeah.
because the hormones going wild. I'm crying to every advert on the TV, right? At that
Uh-huh, yep,
point.
yep,
But that self-doubt is in
sure.
me at that moment. I'm doubting whether I'll be any good as a mum, let
Right.
alone
Let
as
alone in this promotion.
exactly.
Yep,
And
yep,
so I think that sort of meant a big deal to me.
mm,
And actually, I have to give credit to my husband
mm,
because he was the one who turned around and said to me, "You have worked so hard for this.
nice.
You're not the woman I know if you don't try."
Yeah, yeah,
And
y
he was so right.
and you did it.
I, n- I not only did I do it, I loved it.
That's great,
Like
that's
loved
yeah,
it.
that's
But
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I definitely went in with trepidation.
Yeah, and risk, right? And feeling like, "What does this mean for me?" From a leadership perspective too, right? And I'd love to talk to you about your leadership style because you do seem like it would be particularly interesting style given your personality and the little bit I know about you. Um, from a leadership perspective, you everyone is kind of forcing themselves into high performance environments right now.
Yep.
Companies are demanding high performance environments. I just read a very long article yesterday on, the fallacy of AI replacing the workforce, and we're still going to need to have inclusive sort of top down support regardless of technology. What does that look like for you as a leader? Where do you bring in the sort of top down support as a leader?
Gosh, I don't even know how to answer that question,
Yeah.
and I think I can honestly tell you that I'm learning as I go.
Sure.
right? And I'm
Fair.
trying to figure it
Yep.
out as I go. But I try and remain core to a couple of real principles.
Mm.
For me,
Mhm.
as a leader, the team that I work with, they all have lives.
Mhm.
They all have something going on outside of the office,
Mhm.
and that thing that might be amazing, that thing that day might be dreadful, it might be somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Who knows,
Yeah.
right? There's a person behind the work person,
Mhm.
and I think for me, I've always taken a key understanding of who is that full person.
Person.
So, like, I'll give you one example. Like, we do this thing where my team comes over to my house every summer. They hang out, they bring their partners, they bring their kids, they bring their dogs, they bring, if they had a rabbit, bring a rabbit,
Bring that.
right? Come and do that because we are so much more
Mhm.
than just who we are at
Sure.
work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
When you can understand somebody's partner and somebody's life that sits behind there, you can actually then understand what their goals are. And I am a firm believer in my responsibility as a leader is not just to the company,
Yeah.
it is also to the person
Mhm.
individually, and making sure that if we can get them to hit their goals and to lean into their strengths rather than fix their weaknesses, which is so important to
I
me.
love that. Love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But that's so important to me, and that leads out of the dyslexia side of things. But if we can get that, everyone benefits, including the company,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Give other people that opportunity to excel, do better. So I think when we think about how AI is coming in, and you can imagine that's been a hot topic
Oh, sure.
for us as it is for many
Many
different
people.
businesses.
Yep.
What has never, ever, ever been spoken about is that this is replacing people. This is all about how can we make somebody be even better? How can we help them develop? How can we change so that they can contribute in a way that is even more meaningful? And how the two need to be symbiotic and work together
Mm.
rather than you're out the door because I can now do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's been a nice, safe place
Mm.
for people to learn and
Yeah.
not feel fearful.
I really appreciate what you just said about the let's build up your strengths and not necessarily concerned about where the weaknesses lie. One of the things I'm challenged with, Charlie, I love your perspective on this, is I do consider myself to be an empath. And sometimes I'm not able to balance the performance expectations of my team with my empathy.
Yep.
And sometimes I know I do things as a leader that don't scale.
Yep. I
Uh,
hear you.
guilty as well? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
how do you balance, I guess, expectations of performance with your empathy?
I don't know that I am in a position to turn around and make it seem like I do get the
Mm,
balance. I get it wrong. You know what? We all
sure.
get stuff
Yeah, I'll
wrong,
get it wrong. Yeah.
right? And I think it's most of the time is to just own it and realize that everybody's performance expectations for them and for the company
Mhm,
needs to always be at the forefront. But if we're fixing everything else that sits around it and
mhm,
making sure that we are always focused, even from an empathy point of view, of what is the solution here?
sure.
Right? Then we're gonna get there and we
Yeah.
will be there. Maybe we're a week later, maybe we're 6 months later, but
Mm,
we will get there.
yeah.
I don't think I get the balance right. I think quite often I get it wrong, and I think sometimes I will lean far too much in either direction,
Mm,
right?
mhm.
And often that's dictated about what pressures I'm under as
Sure,
well.
of course, absolutely, yeah, and
Yeah.
I feel that too, like, when I'm under a lot of pressure, I try really hard not to push that down, right?
Mhm.
At least in a negative way, and I
Yeah.
have a great team, they're always wanting to help, they're always looking to raise up and see where they can lean in more,
Yep.
and, some of us struggle with control and other things, and it's challenging, isn't it? Yeah, it's challenging, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, and it's fun because this year, I'm blessed with lots of wonderful leaders around me, both internally but also externally. Like, I have an amazing network of people who I can call and just say, "Oh, what would you do in this situation?"
Yeah.
Right? And I have my own mentor who means the world to me.
Mhm.
But I think it's one of those challenges sometimes along the way of you need somebody to turn around and say, "Does it really need to be you?"
Right.
Right? Or could this be somebody else?
That's a
Or
really good one. Yep.
is
Yeah,
there
and you need that check, right? You need that person to give you that check. Absolutely.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
and that's great, right?
Yeah.
It's why it's so important to have that network.
I'm looking forward to coming out to the house this summer. I'm just gonna say it right
You are welcome anytime. You don't have to wait for the summer, it'll rain anyway,
now.
so
Well, it's raining here today in Boston, so I get it. Um, from back to sort of the learning aspect, Charlie,
Mhm.
I know that you're a big person who focuses on learning. We just talked about that in the way that you lead. Um, what's something what from an organizational standpoint, when you think and you see how organizations make, create or do not create good environments for learning, do you think there's some simple things that organizations can do that would unlock more learning, unlock more talent? And maybe you're doing some of this already in your organization.
We're not perfect.
Yeah, no one is. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we'd like to think we are, sure, but
Yeah.
we're not.
Yeah.
I think one of the things is about creating a safe space where
Yeah.
somebody is allowed to learn.
Yes.
And I think that is one of the biggest, I don't want to say necessarily failings because there's a reason why, but I
Sure.
do think that that's something that I see regularly, both in at DE, but also elsewhere, where it can, it's okay to turn around and say, I don't know, but I
Right.
will figure this out, or
Right.
I will learn, or even to sort of have people take a step and say, hey, I want to go down a different route with my career now.
Mm.
How can we invest in that side of things? And that's something where, I've seen people ask for that and it's not happened.
Right.
And in return, we've lost great talent. And
Yeah.
that
That's so sad. Yeah.
that's so rubbish,
Mhm.
totally rubbish. But we've also seen it where someone's been given the opportunity. Now, if you give them that opportunity, you've also got to give them the space to learn.
Right.
And I've seen us embrace that, and the power, the multiplier of that just then encourages us to
Mm.
do it again and do it again and do it again.
Mm.
But that safe space for somebody to be able to put their hand up and say, "Hey, can I change? And this
Yeah.
is the reason why. I want to continue to learn internally, externally." However, um, and this is really important, something that, I probably shouldn't say, but I'm gonna say it anyway, that's how I am. One of my biggest frustrations is when individuals in the workplace don't realize that learning is 90% on them,
Mm.
right?
Such a good point. Such a good point.
It frustrates me so much when it's like, "Oh, no, the company should be," or, "I wasn't given this opportunity."
Mm.
And I know myself the amount of times, I mean, even when we think about AI, no one was coming to me and saying, "Can you learn about this
Right.
stuff?" It's like I had to go and solicit it and
Mhm.
invest in myself. And I think that that always sets the sort of difference. It's one of my interview questions when I'm interviewing somebody, like, "Where have you gone to go and learn something by yourself and why?"
Right.
And it could be anything, it could be knitting for all that
Yeah,
matters.
sure. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you're not willing to do that yourself, then why should the company be the person who has to drive that? So
Mm.
I do think it's 90% on the individual, even if that's an unpopular thing to say. Sorry.
I like to tell this story. I was early in my career, maybe 5 years into my career, and I made a fairly not a catastrophic mistake, but a fairly large mistake, right? I sent something to the sales team before I should have sent it, and then once, as you know, once something is in the hands of the sales team,
It's gone.
and it's gone. Yeah. And my boss was, cussing me out and very upset with me, and I said to her, "Well, I'm sorry I made this mistake, but I'm more sorry to hear that like I work at a company where you're not allowed to make mistakes."
Yeah.
And that just stopped her dead in her tracks. Like
Good.
she had no ability to respond to that
Yeah,
at all, you know?
good.
Yeah. And
Good, right? Because
yeah,
that's
and
what
I nearly vomited, but I in that
you walk out of the room going, "Oh my god, did I just say
did I
that?"
just say that? I'm gonna get fired. Oh my god, this is over, right?
I need more
But
people like that, Rich. More people who will challenge leaders.
yeah, yeah.
Like, don't we need that? Politely, respectfully.
Right. I mean, I didn't say anything disrespectful. I was just like, "Oh
No,
my god, I guess I don't work in a place where you're allowed to make a mistake."
you just told the truth,
Right.
and I had no idea. What did she say? How did she react?
She just kinda like, well, of course you can make mistakes, but this one's really bad, and this is," and she was more in the place of like, "How do we unwind this and how do we fix it?" more
Mm.
than kind of acknowledging what I had just said to her,
I
right?
wonder how much that incident had an impact on her long term,
Yeah,
and with any luck, hopefully, maybe made her think twice in the future.
maybe. I hope so. Let's talk about that. I hope maybe, yeah. So back to so speaking of sales for a second. So, we've got, what you've done in sort of sales leadership, tech leadership. There are more women entering those spaces, but it's still yes. but it's still not as much,
Yep.
right? The barriers are still very real.
Yeah.
And maybe some of them aren't talked about as much anymore, Charlie, or, there's a difference.
Mhm.
I work with a lot of college-age women here, as you know, and I encourage them to go into sales. And sometimes they don't always agree with me, but, because they're like, "Oh, that's a guy's thing," right? Like sales bros and this type of thing. So,
Yep.
what's your advice there when it comes to advancing in terms of your career in the sales space?
Um, Ladies, the bros are in every space, okay? Not just in sales. I'd love to say it's not, but they are. So, why would you not want to go into a career that
Yeah.
is one of the most challenging, one of the most fun,
Mm,
one of the ones that can earn you the most amount of money to
sure.
set you up financially,
Right.
and open all kinds of different doors just because of those sales bros? Because 'cause
Right.
there are tech bros, there are engineer bros, there are bros
In bro
everywhere. Seriously, they're there.
Yeah.
So, I think my first advice is don't worry about everybody else.
Mm,
Worry about what it is that you wanted to get out of it,
sure.
right?
Sure.
The other thing I would say is, and this I feel very passionate about,
Please.
and a very quick story. I had a female manager years ago, who told me exactly how not to lead. And I am extraordinarily grateful to her for giving me a first-hand exploration of how to not do
No.
it.
Yeah.
Right, exactly, which is great. Which is, she led from fear and from jealousy and from there's not enough room at the top.
Mm,
Okay. So my advice to ladies always is look around for the role models within any organization, right? And look there to say, "Who is gonna help me become
mm.
better?" Because spoiler, there is so much room at the top,
Right.
so much room, and please come, help us change the narrative.
Mm,
But to do that, I do recognize you need to work in a supported environment.
right.
It's not just from female leadership, and like I say, this particular manager was just dreadful in every sense, like, every sense. But actually, surrounding yourself with other males who are also listening and respecting to you. So,
Mm,
and I actually think in sales, you kind of get more of that than elsewhere because you're the voice of the customer,
right.
right? So you get listened to more because you're on the front
Right.
sort of.
You're on the front line. Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely. Yeah,
exactly.
that's really good advice. I'm gonna use that. The next time I have a conversation with one of my students who's thinking about, well, the sales isn't right for me. Um
They tell you why, out of interest, why they don't think it's
A
right
lot
for
of times it's a confidence thing, I think, more than anything. It's that idea of, like, the vulnerability and the confidence of being out there and trying to convince someone to spend money on something, right?
you. Yeah.
And I had a long conversation with one student yesterday about how, in my career, the people who really can put solutions together are
Yeah.
the ones that are the most valuable to companies. The ones who can look across a portfolio, be the voice of the customer, get the customer's requirements, and put that together into a solution that
Mhm.
closes a gap. Those are the most valuable people in a company to me, and the ones I've had the most success with and said, "Oh, thank God Charlie's here. She knows how to do that."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we need 5 more of people like that. So that's why I'm kind of helping them. And maybe it's a little overwhelming right now, but I'm just trying to help them see that. It's not just like trying to get people to spend money,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, the world is overwhelming though, Rich,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like, just
Yeah.
full stop. I mean, in so many different ways. But I think the sales career has so much, opportunity and
Mm.
exposure to things that you just don't get if you go down other routes,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
And
Sure.
the opportunity you can genuinely affect the, trajectory of a company more than a lot of other units in a lot
Mm.
of ways,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
kinda cool.
Mhm. And yeah, I loved, I mean, my time in business development, I loved it, right? I mean, it was one of the, because again, I loved the solicitation from the customer. What do you need? How do
Yeah.
we solve a problem for you? How do we close that gap? Those are the
Yeah.
things that make me really excited.
But let's not oversell it, just
No,
to be very clear.
no, no,
Sales
no.
also
There's a lot of
sucks.
it that's not very glamorous at all, right? To your point. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Some days it sucks, but again, show me a job that doesn't.
right,
I
exactly.
like, genuinely, that I was talking, sorry, I digress again. I was
That's
talking to
okay.
somebody the other day, and they were saying, "Well, you know, wouldn't you wanna be the CEO of a company?" And I was just like, gosh, no. I was just like, "That's the loneliest job. Who do you
Absolutely.
talk
It
to
is
if you're
lonely at the top. Yep.
right? It's super lonely." I was
Yep.
just like, "How? No, no,
No, no.
no. I want to affect change.
Right,
Just
exactly.
tell the board that change has been affected."
That's it.
Like, do it.
And here's
Anyway,
the outcome. You mentioned that today's a good day. You were
yeah,
saying that you feel great, you're smiling, your hair looks great, all these things.
thanks.
Um, what's a bad day, Charlie, and how do you reset from a
Oh,
bad
yesterday.
yesterday was a bad day. Okay, how do
Yesterday
we
was
reset yesterday?
Um, uh, I am so lucky, Rich. But
Yeah.
one of the
Mhm.
areas that I am extremely rich in
Mhm.
is my father.
Aw.
He had a massive influence on me as a young girl and still does now, and he's sadly been passed away for quite some time. But I did exactly what he told me. So I had a rubbish day
Yeah.
yesterday
Yeah.
in so many different ways. But he used to tell me when I was struggling with my dyslexia years ago, he was just like, "Go for a walk.
Mm.
Go for a walk, get some
Mhm.
fresh air,
Yeah.
right? Go and take a step away
Walks
because
are so therapeutic. Yeah. Yeah.
continuing to stare at your rubbish day, not helpful, not helpful. And yesterday, I was absolutely having a moment, and I could tell you it was about 11 a.m., and I pinged somebody, and I was like, "I'm gonna have to cancel this meeting."
Yeah.
I was like, "I need to go and reset," and they were like, "Cool, they get it, like, that's fine." And I'm lucky, I'm an outdoors girl, so I'm obsessed by my animals, and
Mhm.
for me personally, I needed fresh air, and I went to my horses.
Oh.
And I walked down to the field and I got a call for work and I took it. And they
Yep.
were like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "I am resetting and I'm doing
I'll
this
be back.
little."
Yep.
Yeah. And they were like, "Oh, cool." And we continued to talk about the work stuff, even though my horse was like, one of them was like nudging me in the ribs and, everything else. That's how I have to reset for me. And I encourage my team to do this all the time. Continuing to stare at bad things or a bad day or a bad problem never solves it.
Mm.
Never solves it. Walk away.
Yeah.
Walk away,
Yeah.
right? Even if the house is burning down, it will still be burning down, right? Even if you step away from it. But staring at it burning down does nobody any
Does not
favor.
help you. Absolutely.
And I came back and you know what? My afternoon was significantly better.
Yeah, you could get back into it. That's I had a coworker, and I always admired him for his ability to do this, and it's funny because he was a very large, very tall man, very broad man.
Yeah.
Could have been like professional football type.
Yeah.
And he used to say in the middle of a meeting, "I need a moment."
Yeah.
And he would go and he would take his moment, and he would come back. And just him the physical size of him getting up and leaving the room was,
I
but
love that.
I always admired that he had really the courage, let's call it courage, in that instance to say, "I have to take a moment here, and, I really kinda don't care what the rest of you think about."
I mean, that
But he
says
would come back so much better for it. And this
what's
is an extremely smart person, don't get me wrong, I mean, high performer, all the good stuff.
amazing.
Yeah,
But
but
it
just knew
doesn't
when he had hit his limit.
That doesn't that do a couple of amazing things? Doesn't it set the standard that it's okay to say, "I need a moment,"
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
We're not machines yet.
Yeah.
But we're not, right? We need moments. We are human. But also, what a wonderful thing for people to then see the difference when he came back,
Mhm.
right? That rather than him grumping and sulking around
Right.
and sort of or whatever he might
Or
have done.
in that moment, just shutting down for the rest of the meeting and just,
Yeah.
staring forward or staring at his laptop and just because 'cause I've seen that so many times. You can see the actual turn of the person. Okay, they have now shut down. They are not going to be present for the rest of this conversation, right?
That's no good for anybody. That's
Right.
not good for them, it's not good for the team, not good for the company.
Yep.
No one's winning.
No.
We all
Uh,
need to take a moment. I
yeah.
love that.
You mentioned, the joy that you have in your mentor today and how much that mentor has meant to you and the mentorship that you do, starting with the poor girl in the bathroom all those years ago. What does great mentorship look like to you, Charlie? Both to be a mentor and a mentee?
Okay, as a mentee, I'm gonna start there. He is such a positive influence in my life,
Mm,
because it's whenever I talk to him, it's a safe place,
okay.
right? And that's, I think, one of the really important things about mentoring is it's not about giving advice. It's about working together to try and talk through opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Rather than necessarily like, "Hey, here's my crying baby. Please, can you soothe it for me?" Like, no, that's not it,
Yeah.
right? And to do that, you need to have a safe place. And I have to say, JD was the person who believed in me from the get go. He was absolutely early in the career who just said, "You're going to be someone one day,
Yeah.
and maybe one day I'll live up to that." But
I think you might already be there, but we'll see.
very kind, not quite true. But
Mhm.
he's still there now, right? And I think I've taken a lot from what I've learned from him. And so then when I'm as a mentor, is that I don't try to give advice.
Mm,
And I think that's really, really important
interesting.
because
Interesting.
if I'm giving advice, then I'm just telling them my one
Yeah.
side
I get
perspective,
that. Yeah, I
right?
get that.
Versus when I talk about, well, a little bit more about how it's making them feel, or what it is that they're trying to achieve,
Mm,
or where they think they could have done something different, or
mm,
what they think they're trying to
mm.
improve upon or change. And have it be a dialogue and be sort of like, have you thought about,
Yeah.
or what do you think would happen if? And focusing on that side. So it becomes having a glass of prosecco with your bestie,
Yeah.
right? And having that conversation rather than somebody saying, "You should." Because the thing is who am I to tell anybody what they
Mm.
should do,
Right.
right?
Right.
I am not. And it doesn't matter where you are in your career, your opinion and thoughts matter. It's about, for me, the mentoring is about sort of having the platform, the forum to talk about it,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
to sort of express and work together on options. Does that make sense?
I appreciate that because so often when folks that I'm mentoring, they will say the words that no mentor wants to hear, right? "What would you do if you were me?"
Yeah.
Or, "What should I do? I don't
Yeah.
know what to do. Tell me what to do. What would
Yeah.
you do?" And sometimes it's hard to isn't in that moment, right, to come up with a I like how you reframed a lot of that, Charlie, for them,
Yeah.
right? Because that
Yeah.
reframing is everything. Because sure, it is also easy from our perspective to be like, "You know what? This is what I think you should do." Because it lets us off the hook in that moment,
Yeah.
right? Rather than saying, "Let's keep dialoguing through this and let's think about how we can reframe this so it's not just me telling you what to do."
Yeah. But also, like, shouldn't we all be heard a little bit? I mean, years ago, and I'm not sort of as at the front line as I was back then, but years ago, I was running a sales team, and somebody would show up on there, and they would talk about a problem, and before I would give my thoughts about it, I'd make everybody in the room give their thoughts about options.
Right.
And the reason for that is often not one of us had the right answer. It was
Mm.
the collective
Mhm.
working together and then troubleshooting versus it comes back to this, "Don't hold my crying baby," right? Like, 'cause I've done my crying baby days. I'm over with that. So
Likewise.
yeah, exactly.
Tell me what's next, Charlie. What's next for you? Even it could be just what's next month. It doesn't have to be what's next year. What do we where are we going from here? What are we working on next? What are you excited to get started on?
It's a couple of things,
Mm,
honestly. I'm excited for what I don't know is gonna happen.
nice. I like
I'm
that answer.
I'm genuinely excited
I
about
like
that.
that answer.
Because that's just the fast-paced world that we're working in, the way in which I'm challenged, the way in which opportunity just keeps presenting itself.
Mm,
I'm a bit batty in that I rather like a horoscope. My horoscope for this year is mega. So,
mm.
I'm genuinely excited for what could happen along those sides. Um, I was about to say selfishly, I don't know if this is selfish. I'm very excited, about a few people that I work with, both internally at DE, but also in the mentorship program, who are they're just at the moment where they're about to, like, blossom
Oh,
out.
they're on the precipice. I love that moment. I love that moment. Yeah.
So, like, it's so amazing, and, like, there's a part of me that wants to yell at them, "Pay attention, it's happening, it's happening."
You're gonna want this.
Yeah, it's gonna happen, but there's also the other part of, like, don't be that person in the cinema saying, "Look behind you,"
Right,
like,
exactly. Ah,
don't do that. So
go
you
upstairs.
You gotta sit quietly and watch them, and then when they're there, like, one in particular that I mentor, I am so excited for her because I know she's about to get something really, really big, and I know it's about to happen, and I think I'm gonna cry with excitement. So I'm
Mm,
excited about that. I'm also sorry, I did tell you I had a few things.
yeah.
I'm also genuinely, genuinely excited about the opportunities that are being presented in the wider world.
Ah,
The things we haven't thought about yet,
sure.
right? You mentioned earlier about the fallacy of AI article that you were, like,
Right,
reading.
yesterday. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's so, like, we're starting to hear so many more thoughts about alternatives and other ways of doing it. I'm actually really excited about being challenged,
yeah, me
seeing
too.
opportunities.
Yeah, there's so much human potential left to unlock, right? And that's what I'm most excited about as well.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? So,
Charlie, thank you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for a delightful conversation. I enjoyed it. Thanks for all the stories. Great stories, by the way.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks for the invite to the house this summer. I'll see you there. But
Wait, can't wait. Barbecue with us. Don't forget to bring partners, please.
absolutely. Charlie, how do folks find you? Best thing, LinkedIn, best place to look for you?
LinkedIn's probably the best place. I'm all over it, normally talking about horses or IP addresses.
Perfect. Love it. Love them both. Charlie, thank you so much. Once again, really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.